Hello and welcome to the Greg Fearon podcast with your host Greg Fearon. On today, I have the awesome Charlotte DeCurtis, who is the founder, the CEO of the Liberated Women Method. Hey Charlotte, what's happening?
Hey, how are you doing? Thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. We recently kind of caught up at an event which our coach was at and running, and it was good to meet you. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Me too. Me too. I know we've just had a little chat about some of the questions, haven't we? So I am excited to discuss.
Yeah. To just be you, yeah. So
Yeah.
just tell me a little bit more about you and how you came to be and run the Liberated Women Method. Talk to me about it.
So in the past, I was from my early 20s, from leaving school. I was very much what I define a burpee and broccoli personal trainer. So the typical line up your Tupperware, go hard or go home, death by burpees. And do you know what? For a lot of women, they got the results that they wanted. And I say results in inverted commas. They would lose a lot of weight. They would, take up less space in the world. They'd have to keep coming back and doing the same thing over and over again, this massive calorie deficit, this death by burpees, because they could absolutely not integrate that into their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And after my own wars, would you say, with diet culture and the diet industry, which I'm sure we'll talk about a lot later on, I just knew that there were a different way of doing things. And I think having my own struggles with these same things. I mean, when I was your typical personal trainer, I was spouting stuff and talking about things that I was still struggling with at the time. I found it so hard. I am not a good dieter. I've really, really struggled dieting because I absolutely love food. I love going out. I love my life. I love being able to live life from one day to the next. And I found myself sort of feeling so disconnected from the people that I worked with and what I was doing myself, because it was almost like I was living a lie a little bit, because I was telling everybody to do these things that I was actually still struggling with myself.
Yeah.
So fast forward, again, after my own struggles and doing a lot of work on myself, I do things very, very differently now. So the way that, I get results with my clients is, one, just in terms of full transformation. It's not just about taking up less space in the world. It's not just about slashing calories down. It's making sure that, you can integrate that into your life. It's making sure that it's done in a way that suits you in a very personalized and tailored way. And I think them words are bounded around a lot, aren't they? Personalized plan. Really, you've just got a slightly different number of calories than somebody else. So the way that I do that now,
half the time they haven't even got that. I bet you half the time it's a copy and paste job.
Yeah, I've seen that. I have seen that 100%. So the way that I do things now is there are three elements to the way that I work. So there's the body transformation, so body freedom, food freedom, and mind freedom. And I do not believe, which again, I'm sure that we'll talk about this later on, that you can have, what we define as a transformation without having those three elements, taking up less space in the world. If you still feel like crap, you're miserable, you're crabby with your husband, with your kids, the way that you show up at work, everything, it just encompasses everything, doesn't it? So that's the crux of it. That's the crux of Liberated Woman Method, the whole freedom.
Awesome. I love that. There's so many questions I want to go down. So and you've written a book, right?
I'm writing a book.
Okay, tell me a little bit about that, because that sounded fun. It was like riots, not diets. So talk to me about what that means.
So a lot of what it is that I do, and I'm sure that you feel like this as well, you can't always get out onto social media. You can't, you've got a limited amount of characters, you've got a limited space that you can get things across. And I wanted to put everything just in one place that was just a go-to, where you can sort of start to understand yourself more and why you can't get off the diet wagon, why you're constantly on the wagon, off the wagon. Because I work with women who've been on diets for years, sometimes 20 years. That is a long time to be on and off, doing various things, in and out of slimming groups. It's not unheard of at all. That's quite a common thing for the kind of women that I work with. When you actually start doing a timeline backwards and reverse engineering where you are right now, it's not common thing. So I just wanted something in one place that encompassed the three pillars that I work by. So the body freedom, the food freedom, the man freedom, and everything that's going on behind the scenes of that, because you don't know what you don't know. And it's the same with us, isn't it? Like, you know, the coaching that we've been through. Yeah. You think you need one thing, and actually that's not what you need. Yeah, it's yeah. So that's why I wrote the book. I just wanted everything in one place that really delved into the mindset side of things, and why people are usually stuck, because it's a common theme with the women that I train.
Yeah.
It's the same stories coming through in one way or another, slightly different, obviously, but you know, it's the same things over and over again. And I just wanted again to put it in one place so that you can start looking at this objectively and see where, one, you've probably been going wrong, but also take a hold of it yourself as well.
Yeah, got it. When that's out, I'm going to make sure I buy it. And people,
yeah.
If you're listening or watching, make sure you buy this book. I'll put links when it comes. Whoop, whoop. So let's talk about diets, because I have a controversial view of the word diet. And only because what I see in the world is people using the word diet as a marketing tool. And it's like, oh, no more diets. And I'm like, well, everyone has a diet, right? We all eat broccoli and chicken and wine gums. So just why do you think people are so hung up on the word diet? What do you think's happened?
I think for me personally, I think the demographic of women that I train and that I coach and that I work in a really close capacity with have been sold this word as a means of like solving all of the problems. Like if you look at conventional marketing, even like back in the 70s and like the Jane Fonda era, that, you know, there's always like some kind of thing going on, isn't there, where you have got to cut out, cut back, and, you know, cut out. And I think that's the inherent problem with it, because if you actually look at the etymology of that word, the origins of the word diet, it just means what you're eating from one day to the next. But there's so much emotion and meaning, and it's almost like we personify. And again, I don't know if this is just a woman. I mean, I work with women, I don't work with men. But it's almost like we personify the word and we give it legs and we give it a heart and a pulse. And actually, it's just the food that you eat from one day to the next. But it's become so much more than that, because all of a sudden, like, this is the thing that, unless you know, this size, this weight, you fit into these jeans, you know, you drink these shakes, you know, and then there's Instagram culture and everything now that is surrounding that. So I think that is the first, so many problems, but I think that's the first and biggest.
Well, it's funny, even like saying to someone, oh, are you on a diet? They're like, don't swear at me. And I'm like, calm down. Like, like you said, diets, the word diet just comes from what we eat every day. So something you alluded to earlier, what are the kind of common themes that you see your ladies go through? Because I've got the same demographic. So
yeah,
common themes that you see your ladies challenge or struggling with.
I think the biggest, or some of the biggest, are, number one, not the conflicting information. So and there isn't like a right or wrong. If you like did something, if you just committed and black and white stuck to whatever it is, it would do the thing. So it's not about the shake, it's not about the, you know, the all the diet bars, the massive calorie deficit, or the way that you went, you know, the slimming world thing, whatever it is, whatever avenue it is, if you stick to the thing, you will get the result that it is saying. But it's the fact that you're not a robot, you're a human being. Like, you're playing with human emotion. There's so much in terms of mindset going on. Do you even you know, do you actually believe that you deserve the life that you want, the body that you want? I think that is one of the biggest problems. I think the other thing is, again, jumping from thing, and this again kind of rolls into one, doesn't it? But jumping from thing to thing, like the kind of women that I work with, they just need everything simplified. Like, you're jumping from like shakes to slimming world to something else. You end up so confused that then you do nothing, or you do something for 3 days and then you do nothing again. So I think that them are the two biggest things for me at that surface level that I see women coming through with.
And then you just made a really interesting point, because when clients come to work with me, I've got a similar thing to you. I've got a 3M method. So I make everything so simple that, you know, even I can do it, right? That's how simple it is. But it's almost like women then tend to look for something else in the meantime. They're like, this is too easy. Have you heard that?
Oh, absolutely, all the time. I had that, last month with one of my clients, Emma. It was exactly the same thing, and she was really like taken aback that she'd been doing all of these other things, and actually it just needed streamlining, like these things that you need right now. So it's almost like, and I'm sure you'll agree with this. It's like you're starting from point G when you've missed out A, B, C, D, E, F. I'm trying to remember my alphabet now. Yeah, that's it. F.
Yeah.
You've missed out like all of the you're trying to do things that somebody else should be doing. And I get this a lot, like people say to me all the time, like, but what do you do? I'm like, but it doesn't matter what I do, because what I'm doing right now probably isn't what I was doing like 6 months ago, because at the moment I'm training for a marathon. So obviously I'm trying to fuel my body and everything that goes with that, but it's not what I was doing 6 months ago when I weren't training for a marathon. It doesn't mean that's what you need right now. You need to start from where you are right now, and what them things are. What do you need to strip back and streamline? What is it that you need in place that you might not have, maybe you've not done before? And what I find as well, I'm sure that you will agree with this, you know what to do. Like you have the things there, but you're not doing the things. Like it's the consistency of doing the things. No, you can't. This I don't know if you've heard this before, because it's quite a northern thing. But there's a saying up here that is, you can't polish a turd.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what it is. Like you can't, there's nothing fancy that needs to happen. You need to do the simple things well, and then add things in as and when you need them from there. It's like closing the gap, isn't it? We speak about that all the time.
Yeah. Do you know what? It just opened up so many questions for me. So one of the things you said earlier was about women not feeling like they don't deserve to have the body they want, the health they want. Why do you think that happens, and why is self-love a myth?
I think that we are very much a culture, and again, I don't know if this is like an Instagram thing, because now we have access to everybody, don't we, at any point. And I think there's this weird thing going on where we think that we have to ferociously love ourselves and our bodies and who we are every single day. And I think that has become, again, I don't know if it is an Instagram, like I call it Instagram culture. I mean, like social media. There's just so many ideas and so many like ideologies in there, depending on who you follow. But I think that there's a definite culture there of like, you should love yourself every day, love your body, love this, love everything. And it's a normal part of the human experience to have like rubbish days. Like you're supposed to have the ups and the downs. You would never even know what a good day was if you didn't have a rubbish day. So first of all, I think that the whole self-love thing is, don't get me wrong, yes, you can have it, but I do think it's a myth that you should feel like that every single day. Reveling in, the days that do feel tough and still doing the things anyway is a massive part of success. And then when it comes to deserving, I think that is very individual to the person, depending on, what's your past like, what's your relationship with with food like, how do you relate to food, like if you are putting so much emotion on, because food's just, it's an inanimate object, isn't it? It's the same thing. It's no emotion. It doesn't have a heart and a pulse. It doesn't have legs. It's, it's the meaning that we put to these things. And then we go, oh, but I eat this, therefore I am bad. And it's the same with like our habits, isn't it? So I think a lot of it comes down to, what does your relationship look like with food? What were your relationship like with food when you were younger? Were you, like, I worked with a lot of women who really struggled in the teen years. Some women that I worked with were bullied at school. Everybody's got a story, and it's a story that needs unpacking. And what I find most often is that it's not always about the food. It's very rarely about the food itself. It's that. If
you're not watching on YouTube, I just did the shake. I'm calling this one.
I don't even know on YouTube. Are we on YouTube? Are we live on YouTube?
No, we will be. When I finish this, we'll post it. So for those of you who watch back, you got to do the sound effects. They know the air horn. Wah, wah, wah. This is
I love it.
This is in tribute to one of our fellow coaches, Coach Nikos. Shout out to you, brother. But I think, you just smashed so many things, like the good and bad food. Oh, Greg, I can't eat this. Oh, Charlotte, I can't eat this because it's bad. But the food isn't trying to kill you. It's not trying to rob your house.
Yeah. Yeah, this is true.
It's not trying to rob your bank, is it? Like, when was the last time, I don't know, bread got done for fraud? I have no idea. Like, I don't.
I love bread.
Yeah, I quite enjoy bread. But I think you're right that men, and for men as well, I can talk about for men, we
Mm.
have something in our past that's created this story we've got in our head about ourselves and food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think you're doing a great job of smashing those barriers down with the clients. That sounds awesome.
Yay.
How about you?
Ah.
It's all about the sound effects on this episode. If you want more sound effects, leave a review and we'll do more. So tell me about your own bigger struggles with nutrition and diet. Like you said, you were a burpees and broccoli girl.
For a
What
long
what made you go enough's enough?
I think for me, it was like when I was younger, my mum was like a prolific dieter, and like my mum is. I have pictures of my mum all over my Instagram and Facebook. She's like this big. She's the tiniest little person that you'll ever see. She's always been like a size 6 to 8, and
Smaller than you?
she's smaller than me.
What?
She is smaller than me. Honestly, she's smaller than me. So I'm like, I'm 5. I say 5'1", but I'm more like 5 foot. She's like, I think 4'11". She's so cute.
Wow! Oh wow!
She's the smallest person you'll ever meet in your entire life. And she's always been like that. She's always been teeny tiny. She was like a size 6 to 8. And I just remember growing up, her always using like some kind of diet product or like looking for some cellulite cream. We always had like Heat magazine lying around. You know them like trashy magazines, like OK magazine, that just like annihilate women's bodies for the tiniest little bit of cellulite. And at the time, like I don't think this is. I mean, it's all over Facebook and stuff, isn't it? Anyway, so we've not gotten away from it. But at the time, magazines were the go-to, like celeb gossip, and we always used to have them lying around. And I think in my younger years, and I see this a lot in the women that I coach, that became a real norm for me of like, oh my God, you know, like the not good enough thing, like it's never good enough. Because my mum was like teeny tiny. She always like exercised on some level. Like she went to the gym, but she was never ever happy. And I remember being little, and I remember just looking at my mum and like thinking that she was just so lovely, but it wasn't good. Like it told me that it wasn't good enough. And then I think, you know, kids, we all know kids don't just copy what you say. Like you can tell, like I tell my kids stuff sometimes and it just goes over the head, but they fully absorb what I'm doing. They don't miss anything.
Everything.
So I think for me, and again, this absolutely has been the case for a lot of the women that I coach, you end up absorbing these things that you don't even realize that you absorb. Mm-hmm. So a norm for me, very, very much so, was like being a specific weight. Like I remember being 8 stone, what was it? Like 8 stone 7, but if I got up to anywhere near like 9 stone, I would freak out. And like size of clothing as well, like a norm for me was a size 6 to 8. It's teeny tiny, like that's such a small thing. But I think we again, for me, I sort of absorbed that thing. That became a benchmark and a norm for me throughout my life. And even when I was in like fitness model shape, and I was, when you look back at pictures and you think, oh my God, I so did not appreciate what I like looked like, the effort that I put in, the training that I did. And I was still miserable. Like I still wasn't confident in my body. I remember like putting pictures of myself, like loads of like abs out selfies, because I needed the validation for other people to tell me that, oh, don't you look good, blah, blah, because I didn't feel it myself at all.
Yeah.
And I think it really becomes apparent when it starts affecting your home life. So, when you're on a constant diet and you don't feel good about yourself, you don't show up as a good version of yourself. Like nobody is the best version of themselves when you're treating yourself like crap. Like, no, I've never met anybody who is. Like, you're not with anyone, not with your kids, not with your family, not with, you don't show up at work as like your best self when you're feeling like crap. And there was something that had to give, because it was affecting everything in my life and I wasn't feeling any better. So it wasn't about the weight for me. It wasn't actually, when it boiled down to, like, my goal weight was always goal weight in inverted commas was always 8 stone. And like that is it's so small. Even like I'm short, but it's still small. It's still like taking up very little space in the world. But I know that even if I'd have got there, it wouldn't have made me happy. That wasn't the thing. And it's almost like giving yourself that elusive, like some of that self-love, not every day, because you're not going to feel amazing every single day, but it's there. Yeah.
It's so weird you say that. So many people come to me like, Greg, I really need to get X amount of pounds off, and then by the time they finish working with me, like I don't even track weight with my clients. Like I'm not that fussed.
Mm-hmm.
Unless there's someone who's an athlete performance goal, we might track it, but I don't track weight with my clients.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm very, I think it depends on the client for me.
Mm.
But it's never about the weight. Like whenever anybody approaches me, they never get this at first. Like, of course it's about the weight. Of course it's about the weight. It's never about the weight. It's never ever about the weight. Every single one of my clients who has left me, and I've had a number of women that I've posted recently, every single one of them have said a very, very similar thing. Like, I never thought it wouldn't be about the weight. And it isn't. Like, they have lost weight. Some of them have lost a significant amount. Some of them have lost, what someone else would consider not as much, but it's never ever about the weight. Like, if you can show up as like your best self, and one of my clients calls it, I haven't asked you if I can say this, by the way, am I allowed to swear? Do we swear or not?
Yeah, we're adults here. It's all good.
I should imagine that before. So one of my clients defines it as being unfuckwitheable. So like your confidence comes from the inside. So
Mm.
it doesn't matter what anybody else is doing or what, you see a before and after picture on Facebook of your next door neighbour who's lost a bit of weight or whatever's going on, or has bought like, a new pair of jeans and they're taking up their space in the world. It doesn't bother you because you're that confident in yourself, your own abilities. You are you have a stellar relationship with yourself of what it is that you're doing, how you're doing it, and who you are. And I think that's the secret sauce to a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I've suffered with this a little bit in my own life. Even with what I do now, right?
Mm.
What's that coach doing? What's that coach doing? And obviously, I then have a coach to go, Greg, wind your neck in.
Yeah, give up, man. Come
Yeah,
on now.
yeah, calm down, son. So, how do you train? I know you said you're training for a marathon, but typically,
Mm-hmm.
how would you train? Like, what's your kind of everyday Charlotte type of training across the week?
These days, just honestly, it's movement. I just like to move something every day. So at the moment, obviously, like marathon training, I have 3 runs a week just because I have to. I have to. I can't. I'm not. There's no way that I can rock up to a marathon in October and be like, "Hey, I'm not going to come to do a marathon and I've done no training." I mean, I could, but I would not finish it, and 2, probably be injured. Ridiculous. That would be silly. But yeah, my typical is like just data. I just enjoy movement, and I think in the past I've put so much pressure on myself to be like smashing loads of weight training, to be like absolutely exhausted. And I have exhausted myself. I've exhausted my body. I've exhausted myself mentally with the pressure and the stress that I put on myself. So I just like moving. I like being outside. I do a gymnastic lesson on a Friday because that's what my background is, like dancing and gymnastics. So yeah, it's just general movement. Like if I want to go to the gym, I will go to the gym. But I think again with like the women that I coach, it's firstly finding your thing, finding that enjoyment first, isn't it? And then building from there on that. Because like I said earlier, people say to me all the time, "What do you do?" Like I'm withholding some secrets. I'm keeping the secrets. You're not allowed to know. And it's not, I will tell anybody anything. And there's no secret ingredient, is there? There is no secret ingredient. It's the enjoyment first, which means that you will then carry on doing the thing, whatever that is. Then you can start upping things, slotting things in. I never thought I'd be doing a marathon. Never ever in my entire life did I think that would ever be a thing. But I thought, you know what? I fancy something. I fancy a goal that I can work towards and make some of my training intentional. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I saw you doing your little flip the other day, doing it on the crash mats.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm kind of jealous. I might have to start when my ankle, my Achilles is a bit better. I'll be in that. I'll be doing the ninja,
flying off the box onto the crash mat.
and breaking myself probably. So, but, there was a thing where you talked about being in like bikini model type shape.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I'm trying to get across to sort of a lot of my clients and just the world is there is the enjoyment factor, but there's also if you want a certain goal, you got to do the work.
You have got to do it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how much were you training to kind of be that lean and nutrition and all that kind of jazz?
Well, there's two elements to this. So one bit that you won't know, so I'll tell you this now. So when I had my youngest son, I did a bikini show like 5 months after having him, which for me and knowing myself was the right thing for me to do at the time, because I needed focus, I needed something to concentrate on for myself. But at that time, it's like you said, you've got to put the work in, and it's not enjoyable. Like, it's not enjoyable work. Do you know, it's not. I get that, because I've had a client in the past, and great relationship with a husband, loves the social life, great shape, and not even great shape for, you know, like conventional great shape, not even great shape for her age. I think she was like early 50s at the time. And she decided she wanted to do like a bikini show, and I think what she was seeing was the end goal, the standing on the stage, the, you know, whatever it were, the adoration of being stood in a bikini. And, you know, I imagine, you know, the consistency, the fact that you've done your training, and it's all of them things that it's about. Like the end goal of standing on the stage in a bikini, fine, but it's so hard. Like, you've got to be so strict with your diet, normal diet. You can't go out, you can't be going out and having like a normal social life, you can't eat like a normal person. And even like, I know a couple of other women that I've been involved with in the past. I've taken like, and this wasn't something that I did just because I didn't have many events at the time, but I would have had to. They had like their food in Tupperware at like a christening or a social event. Like, you've got to be so, if you want to be that lean and you do want to stand on a stage and you do want to do that, I would never ever do, just put into perspective, I would never ever ever do that ever again. Like, I can categorically say I am done. But you can't rely on motivation either. You can't rely on that whole thing of, well, I feel like it or I don't feel like it. It's strict. You have got to be consistent. It's hard work. It's not enjoyable. Like, I can honestly say it's not enjoyable. Maybe you will find someone else who is like, oh, so enjoyable, I loved it. Maybe you will. For me, my perspective, not enjoyable.
There's very few people in the world, I think, who are, because it's discipline, not motivation.
Yeah, you've got to be really disciplined. You've got to be so, and even with me myself, when I did the bikini show, I wasn't as lean as I should have been. So we, even beyond that, like the where I should have been at, you've just got to be so disciplined, and you have got to sacrifice a lot. And I don't think people realize that you're going to be hungry a lot. It's not like doing a 2-week little diet. It's like, you've got to be consistent with that for 12, 16 weeks. You then take the feedback that you get from the stage and the judges, and also having like, and I think this was a really big turning point for me as well, like having a stranger judge it, you know, subjectively judging bodies stood on a stage. Like, is that something that calls to you? Because that does not call to me. That is something that I think, so what?
It's weird because I see that a lot, like chasing super lean.
Yeah.
A really big thing at the minute. And I guess there's quite a few of my clients, I'm like, I want you to eat more. And they're like, oh, I can't eat more. And I'm like, but metabolically, I know that they can eat more.
Yeah.
But it's like, I've got to get this 6-pack. And I'm like, okay, you'll get the 6-pack. How long are you going to keep it for?
Yeah. I think the other interesting thing as well is like, when you like, there's something that I talk about to my clients, and it's that notion of being whelmed, and being in that whelmed space. You're not overwhelmed. You're not like spinning all the plates, trying to be everything to everybody. You're like stressing out about your nutrition, your training, everything's really over the top, and then you fall and end up in underwhelm, where you're not really doing anything. You don't feel like anything. Everything's like walking through treacle, and that typical on the wagon, off the wagon situation. But staying in the whelmed space, you're making progress. You're doing what you need to do. Things feel easy, and they can. Like, I know that you will agree with this. They can be easy when you're doing the right things, the things that are like focused attention on what you need to be doing. So keeping them in that whelmed space. And when you work in that whelmed space, if you need to like pull, like rein things in a bit, it's so easy. Do you know, if you have got like a bit of a holiday or something that you do want to be a bit leaner for, it is so easy because you've got that baseline. You're not like frantically all over the place. It's coming from that space where, again, that unfuckwithable thing of, you know, who you are, what you want, you know, where your nutrition is, you know, your proactive elements of your own nutrition that you need to be doing right now. Same with your training, same, you know, everything that's going on for you. And I think that's what a lot of, I mean, again, I don't know if you'll agree with this, but I think that's where a lot of women go wrong, is that it's like I'm all in, I'm doing everything, and then nothing for ages. And then it's like you've got to ramp everything back up again. You're waiting for motivation, you're waiting to feel like it again. Whereas if you just stayed on that baseline, stayed whelmed, it's easy, and it can be easy.
And you see so many gems. I'm loving this. We're gonna have to do a part 2 to this, by the way. So people need to, it's like, it's black or white, and I'm like, you can train and eat in the grey, and that way you can kind of go either way fairly easy.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But I think there's this thing that consistency isn't exciting. There's no dopamine hit on there, and that's the big problem, isn't it?
Yeah, there isn't though. I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and we actually had a similar conversation over the weekend. Not exactly the same, but you'll see where I'm going with this. And I remember we were talking about, on like when we used to go out on a Friday night before like social media, you used to take like your either digital camera or like disposable camera out, take some pictures. You had no idea what were going on.
Yeah.
And you used to think, like, we must have been like 17 at the time, and you think, oh, I wonder if so and so's out. I wonder if he'll be out like on a night out. Yeah. Whereas now you just have access to everyone, and you see what everyone's doing, and it's that instant gratification thing, isn't it? In all areas and all walks of life, it's like the same with diet. Do this in like 7 days. Like I saw someone post on Facebook earlier, like, I've lost 5 pounds in 3 days, and I had to like.
It's not fat. Yeah. It's not fat. I promise. It's just water. And glycogen.
It's like you see that, and I get where like the women that I coach, and I get, and this will be the same for you, I'm sure. I see where they're coming from, where they see that and they think, oh shit, I'm doing something wrong. It's oh my god, and you second guess yourself, and you start looking for that other thing, the right thing, the secret ingredient that doesn't exist.
I guess the big thing for us is this trust, and there's the secret that we're all hiding. And when you get to a place of desperation, you just want to solve the problem. But I think that's the problem. We wait too long, and then we get into that pit of desperation, and we're like, we'll do anything. I'll take ketones.
Yeah.
With Herbalife.
Yeah. From your next door neighbour, usually.
who's a hairdresser.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I say that? Sorry, hairdressers.
It's true though, isn't it? I always talk about like Linda, who works in accounts, who did like 5K one time, and is all of a sudden an expert in your health and fitness because she's started doing, you know, peddling whatever it is. I don't even know what there is anymore. There's so many. They're like, Juice Plus still a thing? Are we still? Is this still a
thing?
Yeah, is it?
Definitely still a thing. You get all your nutrients in this one tablet. Like, let's be honest, right? If the government or the NHS realised they could put all of your nutrients into one pill, why would it be a big secret that only Juice Plus sell?
That's going to solve all of the problems. This is what you need. But it boils back down to marketing. And that's something that there's like a full section in my Riots Not Diets book about like how you are sold to and how you're marketed to, that you don't actually even realise. It's like psychological warfare that's going on. It's words, and it's a way that you're being sold to that you don't even realize. And I think once you start looking at that and unpacking like and unpicking like where that comes from and how it's done, you see things completely differently. It's interesting.
Well, I think what happens eventually is people get burnt so many times by, so you know, like your Linda, she must be related to my Shelley.
Oh, do you have a Shelley?
Yeah, Shelley down the road for me. So they're probably cousins or something. But I think when people have been burnt so many times by the ketones, Supernova, Herbalife, Juice Plus, Arbonne, Slimming World. Oh God, don't even get me started about Slimming World today.
We spoke about that the weekend, didn't we?
I know. Yeah, I think people. That's when they come to us, and actually we can actually help them with everything. Not Did you not have your sins? That's why you're not losing weight.
I hate sins. I hate sins.
All right, so let me ask you a question on that.
Mm.
Can you explain sins? Because I don't know. I've got a degree in sports science, and I can't explain sins. Like,
Do you know what? Honestly, I have I have tried to unpack and unpick this. I do not know the and how they've come to the same conclusion at all, because it's not calories. It's not like I can't understand what they've based it on.
it's made up BS, really, isn't it? Because
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
if you look at it, high calorie foods,
Mm,
normally things with lots of fat are high sins. Oh, hold on
yeah.
a minute. This sounds like a calorie deficit.
Yeah. 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 I know. The thing that gets me that I do not understand. Well, I do understand it, but I think a lot of the women that I've spoken to and that I've coached in the past who have done Slimming World is that they will find any loophole. It's like being a naughty child, like
Mm.
any loophole to get out of doing the things that they have to do. Well, it says unlimited pasta, so I'm going to eat 5 bowls of it. Doesn't make any nutritional sense whatsoever, does it?
That's
And I
free.
just think this too much. Yeah, yeah, free pasta, free. If someone said to me I could eat unlimited, but I love pasta. I absolutely love pasta, and I get why. You know, it's the same with a bananas. Still, they do the mashed banana, not mashed banana.
Don't get me
No,
started.
I don't understand. I do not understand what is going on.
It's very simple, Charlotte. You have to deep throat the banana.
Down in one.
Yeah, down in one. It's got to be down in one. You can't. Don't you dare chew it, because
No,
then you release the sugars from it.
when it's in your mouth, yeah, and it's. Do you know what really does like proper grind my gears with it as well is like these anyone listening to this, I don't know if you're going to be familiar with this, but it's I just find it really interesting. There's something called the Dunning-Kruger Effect, which is like a proven like psychological situation that you have a very little bit of information and think that you have all of the answers, and I just found that this is what the Slimming World, what do you call them, reps, because like a rep for the company, what do you even call them?
Group leaders or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like a group, whatever they are, whatever they do. I genuinely don't know either what they define themselves as. But I have in the past seen people trying to justify why you do like the mashed banana, non-mashed banana, and the stuff that is said, like the nutrients go into your body quick. All of the fit, like none of this is true. Like this is just, and it's almost like the blind leading the blind, isn't it? But I think that is the inherent problem with things like slimming groups, with like people who sell Herbalife. They've no nutrition background. They don't have any coaching background. A lot of them are on like a commission based pay. So, and this winds me up as well, is the fact that they are told to use the product themselves and then get the before and after pictures, and then everybody who is in their group who sells the same product talk in the comments about how amazing the products are. So if you click on any of the people, usually in the comments section, like, oh my god, amazing, it's amazing, I love my capsules. If you click on them, they usually distribute it for the same thing, and I just think it's so cheeky and rude and wrong. Like it's there's just no integrity in the would you call it MLM, like the multi-level, because that's what they are. It's a multi-level marketing company in the MLM world. I can never even say that. MLM world.
If anyone can say element, I can't even say it now. Well, I've lost all English. Yeah, can't be. So,
Oh, funny.
I'm definitely coming back on. Right. MLM. There we go. We got it. So, yeah, it upsets me, and I get some flack sometimes for talking about these things, but I think, like you said, it's integrity.
It needs to be spoken about as well, because people don't know. And I don't know if you've ever got this. Like I haven't got it a lot, because I think, and the reason that I don't think I do is because I can fully explain my end away. Like I'm very firm in what I believe and why I believe it. I don't just make it up. I don't just approach something with a controversial view for the sake of it. This view and these views have come from like years and years. I mean, I've been coaching women in some capacity since I was 16. I'm now 32. I'm old. It's a long time. I've heard years and years and years of these same stories of the same people going through the same stuff, of trying and doing diet products myself. So I don't just have, and I know the same with you, we don't just have a controversial view for the sake of having a controversial view. It's things that people need to hear.
I think what I want to know is, how did people lose weight before all of these things were happening in the first place?
Well, no one knows because it weren't posted on Facebook, were it?
Oh, damn it. It's in a book or something, and you have to go and read the book. People, go read a book. Stop looking at Facebook.
Read the book.
Read the book.
No.
So here's a question for you. If you could, if here's the magic wand. You know about this magic wand, don't you?
Love a magic wand, yeah.
The magic wand. Okay, cool. What's the one thing you change about the diet and fitness industry?
I think it genuinely would be like the lack of transparency with what's going on. Do you know that it's unregulated? It's very similar to the makeup industry and probably other industries that we're not really aware of. It's completely unregulated. So, like, if you had a surgical procedure that got botched, there'd be people you can go to, these governing bodies. There's repercussion for people who are practicing in an untoward, this is probably a better way of phrasing that, but an untoward way. There isn't any regulation in the health industry, the fitness industry, however you want to define it. There's no regulation there whatsoever. Anybody at any point, and this is why you get your next door neighbor selling things like Juice Plus with no, nutrition knowledge, no training knowledge, no, they can't, they're not there to help. They're part of and I'm going to say it again, MLM.
What are you that? Oh, brilliant.
They're part of one, like a company that the commission, but they're salespeople. They're not people who are there to, even any qualification whatsoever. And I'm of the view, like, experience trumps certificates. I'm sure you will agree, but there's still got to be that element there. You've got to be someone who is qualified to do these things and say these things. And I think there's so many people who aren't, and they'll say things with such conviction, like going back to that Dunning-Kruger effect. They say things with such conviction that people go, oh, never knew that. Yeah. Oh, as though they've had like this light bulb moment, and actually it's either a complete fallacy or it's a tiny little bit of truth, but completely out of context for you and what it is that you need to be doing. Yeah, so I'd change that. That's what I'd change.
Awesome. Yeah, I do see a lot of it, especially the ketones are the new one. We're talking about dirty fasting. And I'm like, what does that mean? So now you got clean fasting and dirty fasting. Like, seriously.
Do you know what? It's almost like they're the same things regurgitated, just called different things, aren't they? There's always like, look at this new supplement. Like, it's not new. It's just come back around again. Like a lot of the stuff that were out in like the 70s, the 80s, they come back around. Same with the fitness industry. Like new things come. Well, they're not new. They just get recycled. It's just that gets recycled. Like Atkins, what is it now? What do they call it now?
It's been Jucan, Atkins, and now it's keto. And now it's keto.
Yeah. Oh, that, yeah. But it's basically the same principle. Like, I remember my mum doing Atkins diet. That's like, what, more than 20 years ago. It's the same thing. It's not any different.
Exactly. It's a bit like HIIT. Like HIIT bugs me because I'm like, we used to go to church halls back in the day. You had a little circuit.
But I love a church hall.
Yeah, church hall workouts would have won. But if you do it on the spot, then it's HIIT. Oh, so it's got to be HIIT. Yeah.
I know it is. Do you know what always makes me laugh as well is like the trends, and it's almost like, oh my god, you've got to be doing this, and it is just like you could be doing just something else that you actually enjoy rather than jumping from or things that you feel like you have to be doing. Like I know a lot of women at the moment and again, nothing wrong with this. I'm actually a massive advocate of like weight training and if you're into CrossFit or anything like that. But it's not necessarily the right thing for you right now, just because you feel like you have to be doing that. And there's different ways of doing things as well. It's like weight training. I think people often think that weight training is just one thing. Like you go in the gym and you lift. Like there's so many different like subcategories and different ways of doing them things.
What you need to do is you need to rebrand it, call it the CDC method.
Oh, all day. Indeed.
There you go.
And that.
I'm charging
I
you
agree.
997 for that.
For 997.
Yeah, 997. So this has been an awesome podcast. I think we could rant about this stuff forever and a day. So I think there's going to be a part 2.
Oh, two.
Come back, got to do a part 2. So I've got one question though.
Okay.
What is your favorite exercise?
Oh, my favorite exercise. I'm going to say deadlift. I think there's something really primal in there about lifting some heavy shit. Yeah.
Is that your deadlift face?
Do you know what I think my deadlift face is? Honestly, I think I know I shut one eye and I think I stick my tongue out a bit, not intentionally. I know it's awful. It's the worst deadlift face ever.
Can you show me? I've got that on camera, by the way, so I hope you know.
Fine, take it. You can have that.
Yeah, but I don't want to ruin your social media profile because you got to have Insta. It's got to be Insta perfect.
The pretty, it's fine. We'll whiz it on there. Don't worry. It's fine. Take it. The ugly deadlift face.
Awesome. Love it. So, where can listeners find more about you? Where can they come and stalk you? Tell us your links so we can find you.
So you can find me on Facebook just under my name, Charlotte De Curtis. I also have a Facebook page of the same name. I'm over on Instagram, same name. Haha, funnily enough. I was thinking about my handle then. If you should just be able to find me anywhere under my name. Website is charlottedecurtis.com. How original. So yeah, just my name. Search my name and I will come up in various different places. I'm everywhere.
Everywhere. You are everywhere. Awesome. But yeah, it was awesome to meet you in person properly over the weekend.
Yeah.
And I think, like, for anyone listening, if you don't have a coach in your life, it's an invaluable tool. And I think that's what's been able to bring us together and so many awesome people over the weekend. Get a coach.
Yeah.
Get a coach. Get Charlotte a coach.
Woo, 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 woo.
People leave a review.
Mine's really rubbish.
You got to practice it. It's 2 hands.
Just gonna say I'm gonna practice that before we do part 2. I'm gonna practice my what is it? Horn.
Yeah, air horn. Yeah, it's an air horn. It's like, bah, bah, bah. I might even try and get the effects on here. See if I can.
Yes, do it. Yes, amazing. For part 2.
All right, look forward to it. People, if you're listening back to this, give this some love. Give this a review on iTunes, especially, so we can make sure that people can hear how awesome Charlotte is. And I will speak to you all soon. Talk soon.
Later.
Laters.